How did Google get so big that the company is usually being investigated by governments worldwide? Well, it's a wild ride. The whole thing started off as a dissertation by 2 students, and now Google is a thing everyone knows of and almost everyone uses. So let's dig into how this happened. This is the rundown. Skip around if you want. Watch things out of order, I don't mind. And this thing is IaaS. We start off in 1995. Larry Page and Sergey Brin collaborate on a dissertation to figure out a better way to find things online. The idea hits them. The measure of importance of a site is based on the number of sites that link to that site. To find that out, you have to look at a site and then go backwards. That's why Page called the system backrub. What do you call this web page ranking system? PageRank, and apparently it's named after Larry Page, and no, I'm not making that up. Alright, so Page and Brin have this idea and start shopping it around to search companies. They meet up with Yahoo. Yahoo passes. They meet up with Alta Vista, the king of search at the time. Alta Vista passes. As an aside, Alta Vista had difficulty because the bosses thought there was no way to make money from a search engine. Yeah, that happened. Then they meet up with Excite. The Excite CEO sees how good backrub is and passes. Why? It's too good. If you want to make money online in the late 1990s, you need people to stay on your page. Backrub sent people away too quickly. So Page and Brin go ahead and make their own site. They drop the name backrub in favor of Google, which is a play on the mathematical term Googleplex. Along the way, Google is setting up its garage office at the home of an Intel manager named Susan Wojcicki. Susan is currently the CEO of YouTube, by the way. They're also picking up a lot of people who are brilliant, including Marissa Mayer and Urs Huxley. I apologize for my pronunciation. Anyway, Urs wound up rewriting the search engine to be faster. Because why not? So, how is Google planning to make money off of a search engine? The original plan was 3 streams of revenue. 1, licensing its search to other places. 2, selling a hardware product that allowed companies to search their own operations quickly. And 3rd, sell ads. Some in the company thought that selling ads was a distraction. Well, we know how this turns out. The engineer who created Google's ad system was quoted as saying, "I hate ads." Page and Brin also disliked traditional advertising. Google ads needed to be different. Google's main idea for ads was to target them to search. In a world of pop-ups and banner ads, Google ads would be small blocks of text. Sergey Brin said, "Our goal is to maximize the user experience, not maximize the revenue per search." Now it's the year 2000. Google signs a deal to handle Yahoo search. Yahoo was originally using technology licensed from a company called Inktomi. As a part of the Google-Yahoo deal, the search was labeled Powered by Google and had Google logos on search. Without this branding, Google loses a ton of visibility. Late in 2000, Google AdWords arrives. This will become the main source of revenue for Google for years. Google's ads were based on quality. Companies could not buy the top spot. Ads that were successful in getting people to click would get priority. Google then turned to auctions to sell ad space, which ticked off a lot of advertisers. Google also reinvented the auction system while they were at it. In the past, people would make bids. Let's say the winning bid was $10, but the next highest was $9. The winner had to pay $10. So Google rethought it. If the next highest bid is $9, the winner pays only $9.01. 2001, Google needs a CEO. Page and Brin had their sights set on one guy. And that guy's name? Steve Jobs. Yeah, for real. Jobs at this point is the CEO of both Apple and Pixar. Page and Brin have meetings with Steve Jobs, Intel's Andy Grove, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and others. Eventually, Eric Schmidt is tapped as CEO. Schmidt had been the CTO at Sun and the CEO of Novell. Schmidt also gets Sheryl Sandberg as their head of ad operations. She was the former chief of staff to the Secretary of Treasury in the Clinton administration. 2002. This is the year when Google gets a deal with America Online. This also happens to be the first year Google is profitable. When there's money, there's big acquisitions and new products. 2003. Google buys Blogger to put its ads outside of its search engine. In the same year, Google buys a company named Applied Semantics that has patented tech that understands, organizes, and extracts knowledge from websites and information repositories in a way that mimics human thought. This ends up in Google AdSense. Google also decides to work on its own web email service, and in October 2004, CEO Eric Schmidt says that Google is not going into the phone business, but we're going to make sure Google is on those phones. This is the same year Google goes public. 2005, Google wants to know more about its users, so Google picks up a company called Urchin for $20 million. This becomes integral to Google Analytics, the tool that can be used by people to understand its customers better. Oh, in the same year, Google buys Android. 2006, Google buys YouTube for $1.65 billion. This was a huge risk at the time. YouTube was facing a lot of legal issues because people would post copyrighted works on the site. At the time of the purchase, it was thought that Google could perhaps identify and remove copyrighted works. Interesting idea. A New York Times article mentioned that YouTube was kind of similar to Napster. Napster was killed over copyright issues. So here we have Google paying over $1 billion for YouTube and its ton of legal problems. However, YouTube had a 46% market share of online video at the time. 2007, Google buys DoubleClick for $3.1 billion. This is Google's biggest acquisition at the time. DoubleClick is an online ad company. Eric Schmidt explained the deal, saying the most compelling argument is it is accelerating our display advertising business. The deal drew the attention of the Federal Trade Commission, but the FTC let it slide. Still in 2007, this is also the year Google's products show up on the iPhone, similar to the Yahoo deal in the past. This put Google's apps in the faces of every person who used an iPhone for years. And also, Google search was in Safari. In 2008, things started getting sour between Google and Apple because of that Android thing. Then the first Android phone pops up. It's the HTC Dream, also known as the T-Mobile G1. How Apple and Google were best buddies is a whole other video. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in that. So let's take a giant step back to see what's happened. A company is started by two students who think things can be done in a better way. They bring in some amazing minds to help them. When a problem pops up, people are empowered to do something about it. When managers would reach out for partnerships or a working relationship, Page and Brin would offer to purchase companies. They also figured out a way to make money on something that was thought to be a loser of a product: search. Google gets huge visibility with the deals through Yahoo, AOL, and Apple. Most of all, Google's products work. If you want to look for something, there was one place that did it better than everyone else, and it was Google. It took tons of iterations and breaking stuff to make Google search and advertising businesses take off. This leads to Google being flush with cash. Acquisitions become easier and easier. They go on to pick up Motorola Mobility, Waze, Nest, DeepMind, Dropcam, parts of HTC, and Fitbit. And those are just the big names. A lot of the acquisitions became part of bigger Google projects like Maps, Email, YouTube, and Android. So how did Google get so big? Well, because of everything I just told you. But if you want to know more, check out the book In the Plex by Stephen Levy. It is excellent. So is Google a monopoly in the legal sense? That's for the courts to decide, not me. But in my opinion, Google has a grip on a number of key markets. It does face competition, though, through Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and others. Does Google throw its weight around to keep its products in places? Yes. Is it illegal? Check out all the fines issued against the company worldwide. One of the larger issues to think about is that for the customer, getting away from using certain Google products is easy. You don't want to use Chrome? Download something else. You don't want to use its search? How about DuckDuckGo? However, what about all the data that can be collected using Google's ad services? Maybe there's no escape from Google. Whew! That was a lot. Let me know if you want to know more about the history of Google and Apple in the comments. I learned so much trivia as well. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Ayaz, where I'm going to share a lot more there. I'm Ayaz Akhtar. I'll see you online, and I'm sure Google is watching.